Hello, hey, hi, hey, how's it going? I don't know what I was saying. But hello, welcome to the vlog. We are back at my computer again. We are not going to be pulling apart a movie this week, though, even though, I probably could. Instead, well, first, I guess we should address this. I got my hair done this morning, so my hair's a different color than you guys are used to. Hello, blue hair, new me. I don't know. It's hair. But, anyways, I went to the auto show this week, as I said I was going to, and, I have stuff to talk to you guys about and, show you some stuff from the auto show, because that's what we're doing this week, so let's do that thing. And, yeah, okay, we're gonna do the thing. Okay, cool. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with the auto show, it's split into two different parts. I could be wrong, but I think that they've done this in every single year of the auto show. It's just sort of split into two different halls. And one side this year was just like normal cars and stuff, and it was sort of just there. And the other side was a lot more interesting and had like test drives and cool setups for the cars, and it was a lot more interactive and enjoyable and interesting. We're gonna start off this vlog by looking at this cooler side of things because, it's cooler. Why wouldn't you start with the cool things? So when you first start on this side, you see Toyota. And they didn't really have anything super interesting to me, but I saw this little guy, and oh my god, I love it and I need it in my life. Toyota also had this little test drive area. It was cute. It wasn't anything like super spectacular. There wasn't like hills and obstacles to try and avoid and anything like that. But it did have these little pigeons who had made themselves a nice home at this, like, I assume that they're residents of the convention center and just hang out there all the time and popped out to say hello during the auto show. But yeah, pigeons and a moose. Just in case you need a moose to go with your pigeons. Next up was Dodge. Their test drive area was kind of boring. It was like a hill and there's like a slightly sloped ramp thing, but they had this set up here to demonstrate how much their trucks could pull. I could be wrong. I didn't see the weight of what was being pulled listed anywhere, and this tower with the pulleys and stuff definitely gave the cars a bit of a mechanical advantage. But we're not going to talk about that. It was a cool thing that they had set up. They also had their concept for the electric Dodge on display. I'm not really a truck girl, but I actually really liked the look of this. There's definitely some things that could be improved upon, and I feel like with a lot of electrical vehicles, we have a tendency to try and lean into let's make this look future-y, but I think it was still good, and if I needed to buy a truck, I would consider it. I am a sucker for Nissan aesthetically, so this is really the only booth that I stopped to take pictures of the cars at, but look at the Z. Look at how nice this car looks. I want to be in this car. It's so nice. And then we have this beautiful rose gold on the Aria, which is their new electric model for this year. And it's so good. Right after Nissan, Jeep had their setup, and honestly, they had the coolest setup in terms of test drives. They had like bumps everywhere. They had this little staircase you could drive up and over. They had the tallest and steepest incline for a car to drive up out of any of the test drive areas that had like cars to drive up. And I say test drive, it's really a ride along. They don't let you drive these yourself. You just go in with one of the employees from the company and they take you for a ride. But still cool either way. Ford made an attempt at having something similar to Jeep in terms of showing off what the Bronco could do, but it just fell a little bit flat compared to the Jeep setup. Then we got to Subaru, and Subaru easily had the coolest like overall display setup. They really leaned into the outdoorsiness of their brand. They understood what they were about and why people are buying their cars. And I think the whole like national park vibe, outdoors, trekking through nature thing really, really, really worked for them. And also the fact that they set this up in a convention space in like a day is dope. I want to be on their setup team, honestly, building out the sets like this and helping design them. Like, even just the use of the lighting design was insane, which brings me to this giant screen that they have here that showed different types of landscapes and stuff, and this led down into a screen on the floor that continued whatever scene you were looking at in front of you, which was really, really, really cool. But immediately after filming this, I got so motion sick, I had to immediately step away. So if you go to the auto show, look at that at your own risk. Tucked into a little back corner of the hall was, by like all of the vendor booths, was a display of Camaros from the Illinois Camaro Club. And, they were cool and whatever. What really, really stood out was that they had the vehicle that was used for Bumblebee in the Transformers movies, which was really cool just to be able to see that in person, see the little bit of like detail on it, see how it compared in person versus the movie. You can really, really tell how fake the rust is on it when you look at it in person, but it's still a cool thing overall. Just around the corner from that, Connie's Pizza, which is like a local pizza place, had an Oldsmobile Starfire, and there's nothing special about this car. I just thought it was really nice, and I have an appreciation for old cars, and especially old cars that you don't see all the time. Like, everybody talks about Corvettes and Camaros and old Dodges and blah 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 blah, but like, look at this. She's pretty. She deserves her time in the spotlight, so we're gonna give it to her. On the other side of the auto show, there's a lot less like spectacle. There weren't a bunch of test driving spaces. There weren't cool setups. It was just a lot of cars out on the floor. But as you entered, Volkswagen did have this setup where you could go and sit at their booth and race RV cars on this track that was up at the front of the hall, which was cool. It was a neat little concept. It wasn't anything like super flashy, and I feel like it maybe didn't necessarily represent their cars and how they drive in the best way, but it was cool. Once you got a little bit further into the hall, they had a supercar display. The cars were nice, but I don't know, they felt kind of mediocre. Also, apologies in advance for any weirdness with any of this recording. I was trying to record around people and like above people and just trying to get the cars rather than the crowds, which were honestly pretty sparse. But sometimes, we make some weird little shifts in how we're recording. Because we had to. But yeah, overall, the supercars were mostly just cars that were expensive and not so much anything unique. They were just luxury vehicles. I don't know. Some people are into it. Obviously, there were plenty of people standing around looking at these cars. Not personally my jam. And then once again, in the back corner, they had a display of vintage vehicles. This time, the display was from a local classic car museum, so there wasn't really a specific theme to these, like there was obviously with the Camaros. But all of the cars were really, really cool. They were gorgeous. I especially liked this pink Cadillac. And just overall, it was really cool to be able to see these cars in person, look at them. This was probably one of the busiest spots in the convention hall, which, I mean, I think really says something. People wanted to see unique things rather than a lot of the same old of what we see. And we were able to get that in this tiny back corner section that they give to this car museum. I especially loved this little guy. I don't know what it is, but I want it. I want to own it. I want to drive it around everywhere. I think that there's just a theme with me liking small cars. It might be a thing. But yeah, overall, it was cool. And I like vintage cars. I like things that don't just look the same as everything else. Which I know I said that I was a shill for Nissan, but it did something about Nissan. I don't know. I just like the shapes that they take with their cars. They fight me. And then on the way out, Honda had this jet body at their booth. I don't know why. It was on display, so I took some footage of it. It's cool, I guess. Overall, the auto show was alright. That's what I would say. There was a few other cars that I was into that I didn't really grab footage of just because I was into them, but I wasn't necessarily that into them. But overall, the show felt a lot smaller than previous years. It felt like less companies had come out, and with the industry being what it is right now, I feel like the companies that were there invested a lot less into it. It felt like there were less unique concepts, that there was less flash, that there just was less effort put in compared to previous years. From what I heard, that's maybe gonna be different next year. They're looking at it increasing the size of the show again. Obviously, the pandemic messed up a lot of things for events in general, but especially big events like this. And the issues with production and everything in the automotive industry have also obviously affected a show like this. The show goes until the 20th, so if you're in the Chicago area and wanted to check it out for yourself, you can do that either today or tomorrow. Otherwise, I hope that the little bit of it that you guys got here was good enough. That is all I've got for you this week, though. It was a pretty uneventful week. Otherwise, yeah, I got my hair done. That's about the only other thing that I have to share with you guys. Next week, we'll be doing some stuff and things, and I'll take you guys along with me. So, be here next Sunday. Unless something happens and I have to post on Monday. But be here next Sunday. Either way, come back, watch the old videos. I don't care. But yeah, that's going to be it for now. And I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you all next Sunday. Bye.